TV.
Welcome to this edition of Dufferin Life. I'm your host, Teena Avery. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Is music in the air? I bet it is. You know why? Because the Orangeville and District Music Festival is coming to town very, very soon. Joining me today, we have Nancy. She is one of the organizers, yes, of the Orangeville District Music Festival.
Yes, I am. And as any nonprofit organization knows, I would be nothing without a full committee. So I have wonderful helpers. We meet throughout the year, but this is our busy season.
Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about the festival. Let's start with the particulars, when and where.
Well, it's always in the springtime. So this year, the actual festival adjudication is April 28th and 29th. And that's when we will have outside adjudicators come, listen to our local musicians play for pretty much 2 whole days.
Okay.
And then they will adjudicate. We are a non-competitive festival. So this is the important thing about us. There are most people have heard of the Kiwanis Music Festival, for example. That is a graded activity. So the kids playing there get a grade and mark, and if they don't get a certain grade, they can't go on, etc. So it can be pretty nerve-wracking. Our festival is, we believe in the power of music, and that's one of our slogans. And we want our kids to play and just compete against themselves. Can they do their best that day?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's important to have that combination. I mean, it is great to have a competition and see where it goes, but at the same time, what you're saying is, you know, playing the best for themselves is really important. Yeah.
Yes, because music can be a very solitary experience. So you're at home practicing. I would say we have about 80-90% pianists playing, but there are vocalists, there are guitar players, flute players, string players. We invite local choirs from the schools to come in, local bands. So, but if you're, say, at home, 10 years old and practicing your piano at home, you see your teacher once a week, but other than that, you're kind of struggling on your own. So this is a really good way to see what's happening beyond your living room, how the other kids are coping with music, what pieces they're playing. Maybe you like their songs and you come home and say, I want to play that one.
Right.
And you get a chance for another music teacher, not your teacher, to say something about your playing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, it's a great experience. I mean, I come from a dance background, so I mean, yes, you would dance, sometimes by yourself in a duet, whatever, you have a group, but when you step on stage and do that in front of an audience, it's a whole different world.
Exactly. So we want to promote performance opportunities. So we have the festival in the spring, but we try to have other activities during the year. This coming weekend we're having, for example, what we call a performance party. So you can come, it doesn't matter if your piece is memorized yet, you can use your music, you can try the piano, practice walking up that walk of, you know, that walk can be a little terrifying, but we thought if you can do it ahead of time. We also have workshops throughout the year. Or was it 2 years ago for our 25th anniversary, we had Christopher Norton come in.
Okay.
Now he's very well known across North America as a composer and a jazz pianist, and he lives in Stratford, and he came in. It was just a delight.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's all of these different things in workshops. It brings the community together, it brings musicians together, and inspires collaboration.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have often families who take lessons, and so you get to meet the family over a series of years, like as their kids grow up. So we have the older ones come through, and then the younger ones follow in their footsteps, and it's a real community builder because we get to know them. They come back year after year, and it's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah. So what is the age range of the kids that come out?
Oh, anywhere from 5 to, we do have a few adult classes, but it's mainly from 5 and 6 on up to 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So I mean, I know it's coming up very, very soon. You'll be seeing this, and the weekend will be here, and so will the music festival be happening. So how do people? It's at the Westminster Church, which is important to know.
Yes.
And how do people get tickets? How do they come? How does that work?
Okay, well, thanks for asking that. The festival itself, people often don't know this, but you can just come in and listen.
Okay.
Now, so we are going to be April 28th and 29th. The full schedule is on our website, which is odmf.ca.
It's up on the screen right now,
okay,
so no worries.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And you can look at the schedule. You can say, oh, I would like to hear grade 2 piano play. And you can come into the church, and just a donation gets you in the door, and you can stay all afternoon and listen to people play. Then what happens at the end of the festival, we confer with our adjudicators. They recommend which artists were kind of outstanding. Again, no grades, no first, seconds, or thirds. They're all tremendous. But which ones kind of did their absolute best? And they recommend about 30 of them for our gala concert. Now that is May 12th. That's a Monday evening. And May 12th at 7 o'clock, and I believe admission's ridiculously low. I know, $5 for kids, $10 for adults. And again, you will hear a caliber of playing that's amazing. They memorize their pieces. They announce their pieces. That's one of the things that we have them do, so that they kind of get a public speaking aspect in there as well. But yeah, so there's, for very cheap, you can come and hear quality music.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I already know the answer to this, and I think many people want it, but let's talk about why this festival is important for the community, and then why it's important for the participants.
Well, for the community, we're supporting our youth. And we get donations from our sponsors, which help us to give scholarships to those very deserving youth. And that gives them a little boost. Now, this sometimes not a lot, could range from $25 to $100, but that scholarship means a lot to those kids, and they keep coming back. They keep coming to their lessons. In turn, they might grow up and support the arts, and that's good for the whole community.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think music is good for the soul. I've always believed that. I listen to a very strange and eclectic, weird type of all different types of music, and I think, but I mean, I hear the music and automatically it lifts you. So if you've never been out to the festival, please get that information and show up. Right? Just show up. Just be there.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Check our website. You can see there's a list of the most promising musicians from the past. Since 1998, we've been in Orangeville. Some of the esteemed adjudicators that we've had from all over Ontario, and it's a labor of love, but I never get tired of it. Just seeing those kids try their best, it's really rewarding.
So, and it's all experience level, so you don't need to be a professional.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's wonderful. So let's talk about you. Do you play any instruments?
Yes, I do. I grew up in a musical family. There were 8 children.
Wow.
And so I kind of...
That's a story, that's a whole segment to itself. Yeah.
It is. So I really know what it's like to watch my older brothers and sisters excel at a piece and say, hey, I need to keep practicing so I can get as good as they are. And that's the other reason for these kids to hear each other play. They can get inspired. Well,
absolutely, and not everyone comes from a family of 8, and and I mean, even if you come from a family of 8, sometimes you're not all musical. Like some, you might have a soccer player or a baseball player or a ballerina.
Exactly. Well, my father, I was very lucky because he really believed that almost anybody could get good at music with the right teaching and the right perseverance. So I would say about 6 out of the 8 started making their living in music.
Oh, that's amazing.
And continue to do so. So
yeah, I mean, and that is a difficult thing to do, to create a career in music. And
again, I've been fortunate. I've taught in the States, in Vancouver. I had a big piano studio for many years, and before I moved to Ontario in 2007, and I play the piano and the organ. So I'm director of music, or minister of music at Westminster.
Okay.
And they sponsor the festival, as you said. I also teach part-time at the University of Toronto.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so I get to do the commute.
Well, that's not lovely. That part's not lovely at all.
No, it's not. But so I get to teach some university-age people, and also young ones up here. So I get the best of both worlds, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, and as you were saying, your father believed that everyone could learn how to play, and I believe that as well. Mm-hmm. But when you have the young ones come, there's some that you can just tell have a natural...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They just have that love and that little spark, and those are the ones that we eventually give the Most Promising Musician Award to. So that's a special award that involves a plaque, etc. So again, but when I see them all trying their best, to me they're all very promising.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I was in the dancing world, and you're teaching dance, and it doesn't matter if you're the one who's doing the pirouette perfectly, or you're the one that's over in the corner doing your own little spins and not doing the choreography whatsoever, right?
Right.
And no matter what, it just makes their parents or guardians and their family and friends it makes your heart soar just watching them do it.
It does, and it's a discipline, just like the sports are, or the dance, and it gives them goals. So
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not.
All right, so let's go over. So it's coming up this weekend, but let's go over the details for the festival.
Yes. Well, this weekend is our performance party.
Yeah.
So that's April 6th, but April 28th and 29th are the actual festival dates.
Yeah.
And pretty much from 9 in the morning. Again, check our website.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, absolutely do that. So if somebody has never been, and maybe they're not a huge fan of music, what would you tell them to encourage them to come out and listen to some of the music that's happening?
It's really fascinating to see a group of young ones, and some of them might be playing the same piece, and no two will play it the same.
Okay.
And the brilliant adjudicators that we get, they can see the strengths and weaknesses. They have to kind of pick what to talk about. They don't have long, maybe 5 minutes with each class, and they kind of zero in on something that will help that class. So that process of seeing the kids have those light bulb moments is really, even if you don't know much about music, you'll enjoy the pieces, you'll enjoy the adjudication even more, because they keep it fun. Again, there's no people crying about first, second, or third.
Right.
And then you're on to the next class. You can see different levels, like a great piano RCM. They do the Royal Conservatory often in these classes. You can have level 2, and the next class could be a violin class. So there's a lot of variety.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Nancy, I want to thank you so much for joining us and sharing all the information.
It's my pleasure.
Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back. And there we go. See you, we did.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Looking for the best way to get the Major League Baseball games you want to watch? Rogers Super Sports Pack has you covered. With MLB Extra Innings, you'll have a premium ticket to out-of-market regular season games with all games available in HD. Don't miss the action from the games you want from both the American and National Leagues. MLB Extra Innings, part of the Super Sports Pack. For only $39.95 a month, Rogers customers get all this for one all-inclusive price. Order using your remote by saying Super Sports Pack or tune to channel 431.
Public transit, garbage pickup, parks and recreation programs, snow removal on your street. How can you stay informed about these and other important local services? Tune to City Council coverage on Rogers TV. See your community leaders at work on Rogers TV City Council coverage.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. And if you're tuning in, as always, you're tuning in at a great time. Joining me today, we have Peter Ponsa. He is a local author. Peter, thank you so much for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Tina.
Well, it is my pleasure to have you on. This is the first time you've been on the show.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I hear, I think, though, maybe your wife has been on the show a couple times.
Yes. She has been, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're an author, Peter. Let's talk about the series that you're working on. You've just released a book, I believe, in the end of March, correct?
Yes, March 18th.
March 18th.
Came out with The Sanctity of Freedom, which is the second book in the series.
Okay. Well, I feel like I want to jump to the second book, but I think we need to start at the beginning. So let's start with the first book that you wrote.
Which is Outfoxed.
Outfoxed, yes.
And
so can you tell us a little bit about what type of genre it is and what people can expect?
yes, well, it's a political thriller.
Okay.
Geopolitical thriller, and this one begins with, as you see the Chinese coin on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy Jordan is an archaeologist, and she's been searching for this hidden treasure. And so she was in Nanjing, China, looking through some archives trying to find it. And the Chinese culture minister realized that there may be some treasure that he wants to get his hands on, so he asked the triad to kidnap her.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so she's been missing for a number of days, and her father's a little upset, so he gets in touch with her old boyfriend, Inspector William Fox, and asks him if he could go and find out if he can help her out, which he does. And so the story kind of goes from there, and it becomes quite a action thriller and suspenseful. So, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about, when did this book come out?
Oh, 2023, around February.
Okay. Yeah. And had you ever written anything prior to that?
The only thing that I've ever written before was for my business.
Okay.
I wrote a lot of techno-clinical articles for dental journals for many, many years.
So very different.
Very different altogether, yes. So it was a completely different genre altogether. I mean, so I've moved on from that because when I retired, I wanted to continue doing my writing, and I thought, well, why don't we just continue doing something different, like writing books? And I went to a workshop here at the Orangeville Library.
Okay.
With I think Richard Scarsdale, or Scarsbrook, I believe is his name, and we had actually Angela came with me, and we both did 2 or 3 workshops, and then from there, I also took a course of advanced fiction writing with the University of Waterloo.
Oh, nice.
And to help develop my writing skills. And so from there, I wrote the first book, and that took about 5 years to write.
Okay.
And it got a little bit better because of COVID. We were pretty well stuck in the house and not much to do, so COVID helped me accelerate the last little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. And political thrillers. Is that something that you enjoyed prior to this, or is that something that you just kind of went, you know what, this is where my story's going and this is where it's going to lead to?
In a way, that's the way it went, yeah.
Okay.
And of course, I've always liked these kind of authors that write that sort of genre, so I felt that it was something I could do, and I thought I did it well enough, yeah. It does have a 5-star review on it, so someone else enjoyed it as well. So
I'm sure, absolutely. So let's talk about your writing process before we get into your newest book that just came out in March. So what's it like for you? Like, what is your writing process like? Are you somebody that will sit down and put down like 5 chapters and go back and rewrite the whole thing again and restructure, or is it something that just flows smoothly? How does it work for you?
Well, for me, I have to delve into it, and I do a lot of research beforehand, and when I have all my scribbles and all my notes together, and I start formulating an outline, because I'm a plotter.
Okay.
And, and maybe a little bit of a pantser too, but When my characters decide to go off on a tangent, well, I usually follow them because that's what usually happens.
Right.
But
So you see where it takes you.
yes, in my writing regimen, well, I try to do as much as I can during the winter because there's a lot more time to be at home. But during the summer and the spring, there's a lot of cleanup around the property and things like that. So I find it a little bit difficult to do. But in the morning, like say between 9 and 11 or something, I could probably squeeze in a few. And of course, every winter we try to go on a writing vacation.
Oh, very nice.
And that kind of helps a bit too, because then you can really focus on writing while you're away and enjoy the sun too. It gives you a break away from the winter.
So having an author as a wife, do the two of you kind of work simultaneously and then edit, or do you not show her till you're ready to show her? How does that work?
Well, sometimes we bounce things off each other at the dinner table, or we may have a couple of ideas that we like to pass by each other. And the other day we were in the kitchen and she was chopping up some vegetables, and she's working on her second book, and as she's chopping up the vegetables with this big huge knife, she says, "You know something, Peter? I'm going to kill this doctor of mine." I said, "Ooh," let's step back. And of course she's joking, but we kibitz a bit back and forth, and she had a character in her book that she was going to, he was finished.
he was set to be done, yeah?
He had to be done, and so she was being a little dramatic, but we do joke around, we do have fun, and we try to discuss what works well and what doesn't work well. And of course, I'll read her book first and give her some of my pointers, and she'll read my book, and she'll give me some pointers, and then we send them off to the beta readers, and then after that's finished, when we get the editor involved as well. So it's a bit of a process.
It certainly is a process. I've always had this thing about wanting to write children's books. And I've never done it. I've never picked up a pen or done anything to do it. But I've always thought in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't know why. I don't know what I would write about or what it would be. Probably something about a moose.
That's very Canadian.
It is very Canadian. And I think I've told the story on here before, and this is totally off topic, but we're going to go down this road. We're going down this rabbit hole for just a few minutes. So when my son was younger, we were talking about multiple moose. So the multiple of moose is meese, right? So, and my father, French Canadian, we used to joke around with words all the time, and he would talk about mice, and he would call them mices, right? So I'm like, well, we can't call, this is a tongue twister, we can't call them the mooses mices, because they're actually mice. And my son was like, what are you talking about, Mom? So I created my own word, and I called it moosei, and I said, like octopi. So I was like, this is my new word, and I'm going to do something with this word. And my one son refused to acknowledge my word. He's like, that's not real, Mom, they're meese. Like, fine, no fun at all. But anyways, totally down a rabbit hole. We're coming back to the book now. Okay. So you've written this one.
Yes.
And then, so let's talk about, did you always know there'd be a second?
Yes, I had already planned to do at least 5.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Amazing. Well, let's talk about the newest release, The Sanctity of Freedom.
Yes.
So this too is Inspector Fox, correct?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Inspector Fox.
Yeah. So what is this? Tell us a little bit about this one.
This story is a little bit different. In the first story, there's Mr. Kim, who has a karate studio, and a student of his is Inspector William Fox. So in this story is a little bit more about Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim and his sister were separated when they were children. She got pregnant by the bad boy in the village, and before the families could reconcile, the bad guy took her across the border into North Korea to live with his uncle. So Mr. Kim has not seen his sister in 40 years. So to get to the other side of the story, Inspector William Fox is out with his girlfriend, Tracy Jordan, and they're on their boat in that St. Lawrence, north of Montreal. And he hears something on the crackle, a crackle of information coming over his phone, a police scanner, I should say. It's a police scanner. And he goes to investigate because he's actually an RCMP inspector with the anti-terrorist group. So he goes over because he thinks this may be of interest to him. While he's there, he finds out that this particular individual is a North Korean.
Okay.
And then he finds out also that there's a note there, and the note has an address of Mr. Kim's dojo.
Okay.
And so William decides to go and visit his friend, Mr. Kim, and find out if he knows anything about this note. And that's when Mr. Kim confides in Inspector Fox that his sister has been missing for over 40 years. And that's when he tries to convince Inspector William Fox to help him get her out of North Korea.
Oh, amazing.
And that's where the story begins.
And that would be interesting, too, because she's been missing for so long. It's not like she was look very similar to what she did. She'd be so much older, and the trail would be so much more cold.
It would be, yes, and I do mention that, too. It becomes quite well, it's a very interesting part of the story, but that's also a geopolitical backdrop, too, with some family twists and turns to it, too. Yeah.
Amazing,
So,
amazing. So you mentioned that there's an event coming up in June. Let's
Yes.
talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so we're going to have a book launch, and this book launch is going to take place on June the 8th. It's a Sunday, I believe, and it's going to take place at past glories of Toad Hollow
Okay.
on John Street. And that's they have 10,000 square feet of space with all kinds of antiques there, but they do have an area that's called the library. And I've had my first actual launch there, and
Okay.
it went well. This time around, we're going to have Bernadette Hardacre. She's going to be interviewing me, and I think a lot of people in the neighborhood in Orangeville know who she is.
I mean, she's one of my favorite people, I'll be honest. I worked with her for several years at Theatre Orangeville, so Bernadette is a beautiful human being, so a wonderful woman, and very knowledgeable, and also writes and does so many things, yeah.
Yeah, so she'll be interviewing me, and we'll have coffee, tea, and
And we're going to
pastries.
talk
And
pastries,
pastries, yeah.
and you're going to read a little excerpt from the book.
Yes, there'll be a question and period for people, and I'll be reading, and there'll be questions and answers. It'll be quite an interesting afternoon, because we'll discuss some of the research that I've done to get to the book. I mean, there is a certain there's certain parts of the story that do dwell on asylum seekers from the north and how they fit into society, and what South Korea has done to help these people integrate back into society once they do escape from the north.
Okay.
So it could be. I'm sure that's going to be quite interesting for the people who are really interested in that sort of thing. So.
Absolutely, and a lot of research involved into it, I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, we've just got about a minute or so left, and I wanted to ask you, which writers inspire you?
I like Tom Clancy for number one because of his geopolitical background, but I like David Baldacci as well. And there's another one, Daniel Silva writes about the Mossad. So there's three of them right there. There's more. I like Lee Child as well.
Right.
Yeah. And
Amazing.
the Reacher series is really something to watch. I mean, it's really great.
For sure, for sure. So, I mean, if there was somebody watching that thought, like, I want to start writing. We've got about a minute left. What kind of advice would you give them? Where do they begin? What do you do?
Well, there's a number of places. I think you could start with a workshop if there is one, or if there's some sort of a club. When I first started, I started with a group out in Alliston called the Wordsmiths.
Okay.
And we would write something and bring it in twice a month, every Tuesday, and we would share our work.
That's amazing.
And that was the beginning. And of course, that's one way. Or if you really have your really heart is dedicated to do it, Humber College has some great writing courses.
Amazing.
And that's one way to get started as well.
Amazing. Peter, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, and thank you for having me.
It was truly my pleasure. And thank you for joining us. Until next time, bye-bye for now.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com. This federal election will reshape Canada's political landscape and our country's approach to domestic and international issues. Get to know the candidates running to be your MP and represent your interests in Ottawa. Hear from your local candidates during Rogers TV's coverage of the local campaign.